Guys, welcome back to Precision Rifle Network. Joel here. Today we are sighting in my 6.5PRC custom hunting rifle. Let's get into it. As I get started here, just a quick shout out to Coltac. Coltac is our primary sponsor over here, and you can get 10% off of anything that Coltac sells, like this rear bag, by using code PRN10. PRN10 gets you 10% off of rear bags and barricade bags and ammo novels and cheat sheets and all the cool things they sell, so go check them out. All right, so first things first, we zero at 100 yards. This thing should be close. I've already previously set up this rifle, and let me just go ahead and start by telling you about the rifle. So this is a Bergara barreled action. It's one of their premier actions with their own pure carbon fiber barrel on it. Again, it is chambered in 6.5PRC. They sent that to me for review, so shout out to those guys. The MDT CRBN was also provided to me. This is a beautiful crossover stock slash chassis. Arca, kind of already, I can't say milled because it's like carbon fiber. However that is, it's made into the front stock. You've got some adjustability back here on the cheek piece height, and you know, takes detachable box mags, and it's crazy lightweight. I've got the Leupold Mark IV, 4-24 or whatever it is up here on top, 6-24 up here on top. Running the Garmin Zero to get some data there, and we're just going to get on paper here at 100 yards, and then I'm going to confirm by shooting a steel target out here. I'll probably start it at 300 and then I'll move it to 600 if possible. This is my deer hunting rifle. I personally will not take a shot on an animal beyond 600 yards. So I just want to make sure that my data is true to that distance, and I'm going to call it good today. So let's get going. Also, just a quick shout out to Hornady for sending over some 6.5PRC for me to zero this up with. Now, this is not, the match grade is not what I'm going to be using for hunting. I'm actually going to switch later in the video to the 143 grain Hunter from Hornady, but right now I'm just using the 147 grain ELD match. I'm going to be starting at that bottom target. See what we get. All right, I think I see it kind of in the middle top there. I'm gonna fire another one, see if it goes close to the same spot or if that was just a cold bore weirdness. It's like just above it. Interesting. Let's go again. Well, that's actually a horrible group. Boy, let's hope that's not representative of this ammo through this rifle. My goodness. Let's get one more in there. All right, well, I'm gonna put a new 5-shot group down there, because that group at 100 was like 4 inches. Like, unacceptably, unbelievably bad. Getting considerable mirage off the suppressor right now. Felt the back end dip pretty significantly on that one, but still should be tighter. There we go. And one more. Wow. Gosh, it's hard to... I'm gonna let that cool down. I am not impressed with those groups. We might switch to that 143 grain Hunter ammo immediately and see if that shoots better. Because right now, those groups are large enough that I wouldn't trust this thing past 200 yards. Well, guys, it's not quite as bad as I thought. I forgot that those little tiny squares, diamonds that I was aiming at are like 1/2 inch. That hourglass thing in the middle, that's actually 1 inch top to bottom. So my group is 1.5 inches. or something like that to 2 inches center to center. You know, I was saying 4. It's not quite that bad, but still, this should be better than that. All right, guys. Well, I was not impressed with the ELD match out of this barrel. Maybe it would kind of like, I don't know, normalize after the barrel completely breaks in. But I'm going to go ahead and switch to the Precision Hunter from Hornady. This is the 143 grain ELDX Precision Hunter. So I've got, you know, magazine holds 4 rounds. So I've got 4 rounds in the gun. We're going to go ahead and zero with this and see if our chronograph data changes at all. Oh, by the way, the match grade stuff had a SD of about 19. Not amazing, but not horrible inside of those kind of ethical distances. So, all right, moving up to the center target. Man, that might be one MOA. It's really close. It's not bad. It's definitely not great. I would expect this rifle to shoot better than 1 inch at 100 yards. For our velocity so far on this, I actually am not going to stop it, but our average so far is 29.06. That's a little better. So I'm going to let the barrel cool down. We'll put another 5-shot group of this stuff down, and then we're probably going to zero with this and then stretch it out and see what we can do. All right, y'all, loading up 5 more shots here. We're going to run that across the chronograph as well, try to get some better data. So I'm getting 4 in the mag, and then I'll put, you know, 1 more in the gun here. And again, so far, not amazing groups. I mean, probably usable for inside the distance that I'm talking about using it, but just not super, super impressed here. I bumped it off of my natural point of aim. Let's scoot that back. Aiming at the middle target, and I'm going to go the top left little tiny guy. Okay. I pulled the crap out of that one, so I'm going to clearly throw that one out as a flyer. You guys can see it dropped way low out of the group, so we're definitely not counting that. So let's go ahead and do this real quick. Otherwise, we're looking at about 1 minute, which is considerably better than it was. 28.97 rounded up 28.98, standard deviation of 16. So not too bad on that, over 10 shots, and it shot tighter than the other stuff. So clearly that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to go ahead and slip my turrets here and make sure that I'm actually hitting where I'm supposed to be hitting, and then we're going to stretch it out. All right, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but I have a right to left wind at about 5 miles per hour coming from my, say, 4:30 to 5 o'clock. And it's a little bit switchy, so I'm going to call it a 5 mile per hour from my 5 o'clock. That's my back right side. That target is at 305 yards. And you'll see through the camera there, it's got a black spot with a little heart-shaped flapper that's about 3 to 4 inches. And that'll flap and move if we hit it. And then I've also got what we call a water line painted on there. What I'm doing is, I'm going to try to hit that thing in the heart, because if I can, that's dialed close enough to me. But I'm also looking at that water line. If a shot hits high or low of that water line, I'll know where to adjust my data. So, guess it's calling for 1 mil. It's going almost 2,900 feet per second though, so I would expect it maybe to be a 0.9. We're just going to see what happens. Now I know a couple of things. Number one, I do need to take a tenth off of that, like I thought I would. Come down a tenth, and we were just slightly left of where we wanted to aim. So what that means to me is that the wind is either the 430 like I thought it was, and or there's some gusts out there making it a little bit more. So I'm going to hold, you know, a tenth or two to the right, and we're going to send another one at the heart. Just so that actually was the exact wind that I was holding to the right. So again, we'll hold straight up. Just have to deal with a switching wind. We're right there. One more shot. Yeah, those are all stacked right there. They're probably, it's a 1 MOA group basically. Well, if you dismiss that far left one, the remaining 3 are all within a minute at 305 yards. So I'm pleased with that. And we're going to call that trued up. I'm going to change my Kestrel to say 0.9 instead of 1.0 for that. All right, guys, just a little bonus footage here. So I've got a bush out there that measures 8 inches at 588 yards. You should see it in the center of the screen there. Little tiny bush on that sandbar, and put it on the sandbar so it should be really easy to see if we kind of how far we miss or if we miss outside of that. I'm giving myself 2 shots because oftentimes at longer distance, if you miss or make a slightly poor shot with your first shot on an animal, there's times where you can get a second shot on an animal. Pretty common for longer distance stuff. Obviously, I want to hit it in the first shot, so I'm making my best possible guess out here. I think I've got a 5 to 7 mile an hour wind coming from about my 1 to 130. So that's going to be 2 to 3 tenths of right wind at that distance. I'm counteracting a right twist, which the Kestrel should manage for me. So it's calling for 2 to 3 tenths despite that, which I'm going to hold what the Kestrel says, and we're going to send it. Here we go. You guys see that wind is pretty good. Look, just the tiniest bit high, but again, that's 8 inches at that distance, which is, you know, common kill zone. 10 inches, 12 inches, common kill zone for a big deer. So I believe that would have been a hit, maybe just a tiniest bit high. So here we go. I've made a 1/10 adjustment. We're going to hold the same wind. Yep, hitting right there with it. You saw wind call was perfect on both shots, and those would have been good impacts well within that kill zone, I believe. So take that for whatever it is worth. I just thought I'd throw it in there. All right, guys, so finishing this out. Again, this is 6.5PRC. Barreled action came from Bergara. It's their premier barreled action. Best I can tell, with the Hornady Precision Hunter, the 143 grain, we've got a 1 MOA rifle with me shooting it. That seems to be about the best that I can do here today. We got about 1 inch at 100 yards, and we got about 1 inch at 300 yards when we confirmed. Getting about 2,900 feet per second out of that, and the standard deviation was in the low teens. So absolutely acceptable for a hunting rifle where I'm not going to get beyond, say, 500 yards, maybe 600 yards. I personally will not go beyond that. So thanks again to Bergara for sending that over. Thanks to MDT for the CRBN awesome chassis stock thing. And the Leupold Mark IV is excellent and lightweight for this kind of a function with a hunting rifle. Forgot to mention it earlier, but I've got the Covix 30 cal titanium can, the 6-inch up on front. And of course, Coltac for sponsoring the channel. Again, PRN10 gets you 10% off. Check them out and stay tuned for another great video from Precision Rifle Network.